Cubs win. They take care of the White Sox. Matt Shaw with a big night. Cade Horton getting it done. So homegrown guys helping the Cubs. And thanks to the Marlins beating the Brewers, back for a tie in first place in the NL Central. We're going to talk about the trade deadline and some of the Cubs' biggest chips and how they're being looked at right now around the league and some of the deals that could be done anytime. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thank you guys for being here. And don't forget about our D Community Home. Right there's the QR code. That's where we're going to be giving away Cubs playoff tickets and more right here on the Cubs baseball channel. Let's get this show started. And again, what a great win last night. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie, Cubs Baseball Channel. Always great to see you guys at Broadcaster Mick on the socials. And look, there's a ton to get into right now as we speed towards this trade deadline and try to figure out exactly what the Cubs are going to do. I know that they're out there active. I've heard from my sources that there is a ton of conversation going on right now with teams like the Diamondbacks and the Royals and the Pirates and some other clubs. Like, they're trying to get something done, but it's always like this. It just seems like the teams that are selling are going to wait till the last minute to see if they can get the best deal. And it definitely is another year where I believe it's a seller's market, which means that the buyers are going to have to give up more to get what they want. Now, Cubs win. That's the good news. They take care of the White Sox. Matt Shaw has all of a sudden found that power stroke. We have heard from people that would know, I'll put it like that the Cubs are in the process right now of trying to get a deal done for Eugenio Suárez. That does not mean that Matt Shaw's going to be sent to the minor leagues. I don't believe that's the case. I think that Matt Shaw just moves to a bench role. You see him pinch hit. You see him play different positions. And that Suárez, if this deal's made, it's just going to make the Cubs better because Shaw's going to move to the bench. But he's really proving his worth in the long haul. A big home run for him against the White Sox. And all of a sudden, over the last 4 or 5 games, you can see that sense of urgency with Shaw and that focus. Because who wants to hear that their position's one that the team's trying to go out and trade assets to improve, and it's because of you, right? But I don't think that him hitting home runs is going to change anything. I think that the Cubs are pretty focused on adding, if they can, a star player like Suárez. We'll see what happens. But look for the Cubs and the Diamondbacks to get something done. If it's not for Suárez, then maybe Zach Gallen, who is not having the type of year that he's accustomed to. But Jed Hoyer has said in the past that you look at a player, not just that season, but their track record to kind of get an idea of who they are. And Gallen, who was a Cy Young Award finalist in 2023, is not having the type of year that he expected with a 5.58 ERA and a 136 whip. But he still has 116 strikeouts. He's still the same guy. A change of scenery could be really refreshing to him. And I think that for the Cubs, it would definitely give them someone in the rotation, as we talked about before, that could really, kind of help solidify an area that's been pretty weak. So Gallen's 29 years old, turns 30 in a couple weeks, and August 30th. So not even a couple weeks, next week. He was awesome in 23. I remember we faced him down the stretch, and I'm certain that he's a guy that the Cubs are looking at right now. So maybe it's a deal where you get Suárez and you get Gallen. I think that the Cubs would love to have him, Suárez, and Merrill Kelly. Talked about that on another video. But what are they willing to give up to do that? And what do the Diamondbacks want in return? And I think that's kind of leading us to where we are right now with our biggest chip. And the biggest chip that the Cubs have is Owen Caissie. And are they willing to trade Owen Caissie? The book on Owen Caissie is this. He strikes out a lot, right? That's the the development that the Cubs are trying to get out of him is to cut that strikeout rate down. It's like 30%, and that's pretty high. But there's guys in the big leagues that strike out that much. What you love about him is that he's one of the best power hitting outfielders in all of the minor leagues. In Iowa this year, 23 doubles, 20 home runs, and the guy just turned 23 years old. He's hitting 276. He walks a lot, so his on-base percentage is 377. He strikes out a lot. I noticed when I saw him that the right-hander's soft stuff middle end was tough for him. You know what? Don't swing at it, and that's something that he's going to learn as he progresses as a major leaguer, which is the next step for him. But scouts grade him as a one of the top power hitters in the minor leagues. He's got the bat speed. He's got the upside. And then the other thing that I'm going to tell you guys too is that he's underrated defensively. He's a very solid outfielder, takes great routes to the ball, has an arm. He's smart, plays the game smart, runs the bases smart. He's a young guy that acts like he's a lot older than his actual age. And I think that is something that you look at and you really like with a young player. And as much as I loved Pete Crow Armstrong, you knew that the maturity part of it was, the maturity piece was something that he was going to have to grow into. You love his intensity. Owen Caissie's a really mature guy, and he has been even as a 21-year-old. So as a 23-year-old, he's ready to go. If the Diamondbacks trade for him, you don't have to put him in the minor leagues for one more day, or anyone that would get Owen Caissie. The problem, and I've said this before, that the Cubs have is if you trade him and you don't sign, and if you don't sign Kyle Tucker, then all of a sudden you're in big trouble, because now you got rid of the outfielder of the future, and then you don't have anybody. And Ian Happ homered in the game yesterday. It was good to see. A lot of us still puzzled about the no trade clause. You're kind of stuck with Happ, win or lose. He's a streaky hitter. He's a solid defender, but is he a guy you give a no trade clause to? And the reason I say that is that when you look at the makeup of the organization, that's an area where you could slide somebody else around and you could have Caissie in the lineup, but you're paying Happ to play every day, and he's got a no trade clause, so you can't really do anything with him. So you're stuck with Happ, and you hope that you get the best Happ that's out there. You got Seiya Suzuki as your DH, which I love. And then, obviously I think Tucker's one of the best players in baseball, and Pete Crow Armstrong's running, trying to run with Ohtani for MVP. So, this outfield's really good. Where are you going to put Caissie? I think you be creative and you find a spot for him. And then if in one of those guys ends up free agent, you don't sign him, somebody gets hurt, or maybe they waive their no trade clause. I don't know, but he's a difference making player, and he's a power guy. If you trade him somewhere, he's ready to go. And I think that's something that a team like the Diamondbacks would really like. Now, a couple other guys I wanted to talk about, and he's also, by the way, Owen Caissie, a left-handed batter and the number one prospect in the organization. The number 3 prospect, I know the Arizona Diamondbacks are talking about him. I've heard from my sources. They like Moisés Ballesteros, and there's a lot to like with this guy. He is a great pure hitter. Soft hands. This guy could contend for a batting title. He uses the entire field. He's got power. He's also got the ability to hit with 2 strikes. He is an excellent all-around hitter. The problem with him is he's still developing at the catcher position. So you can put him at DH. You can catch him. He plays a little bit of first base. I don't know that you would do that in the big leagues just because of his size. He's not a tall player, but the bat plays. And we've seen it continuously in Iowa. This is a player that the Diamondbacks are looking at. This is a player that other organizations are looking at as well, because you don't have to. This is another guy that's ready to go. You don't have to develop him anymore. He's in AAA. He belongs in the big leagues. He just doesn't have a spot on this team right now. You trade him, and he goes right in the lineup, and he's someone that has the potential to contend for a batting title. And that's crazy to say, but that's how good of a hitter he is. Now, the other guy, and we've talked about him ad nauseum on this channel, is Jaxon Wiggins. And the Cubs know that they're most likely going to trade Wiggins. I don't see a scenario where they make a deal and they get any of these players that they want. I don't think they can get the elite players that it's going to take to win the World Series without giving up pitching. And this is their best chip pitching prospect wise. And I'm talking about Jaxon Wiggins. And they have been very patient with Wiggins as far as letting him pitch. Yesterday's show was he's on ice. He's been scratched from starts, and it has nothing to do with his health. He's ready to go. He can still throw bullpens and all that stuff. They just don't want him out there getting hurt. They don't want anything happening to him because they know that to win the World Series, they're going to have to get this big league roster some pitching help, and that to do that, you're going to have to give up pitching. Or even if you get a guy like Suárez, it may be a deal where I saw MLB Network talking about maybe a straight up trade where you give up Jaxon Wiggins and you get Suárez back in a deal like that. If I was the Cubs, I'd be hesitant to make that deal without getting pitching back in it. I would rather trade Ballesteros and Wiggins and maybe somebody else, maybe a couple of somebody else's, and get one of the two starters and Suárez back. Now, some of this is also going to depend on what teams are willing to give up for that same guy, because there's a lot of competition right now for Eugenio Suárez and the year that he's had, and also a position of need and being, obviously the NL leader in home runs, although our old buddy Kyle Schwarber's trying to do something about that. He's closing in. So that's where we are right now. Kansas City traded with the Diamondbacks for Randal Grichuk. And look, he's another example of the Diamondbacks unloading guys and having spots and needing an outfielder. One guy that I didn't put on here was Kevin Alcantara. Depending on the way that you grade and the way that you scout, you may feel like Alcantara. I know some of you guys have gotten into my comments and said, hey, I think Alcantara is a better all-around player than Caissie. I think he's better defensively. I think he's a better average hitter. When I saw him every day, there wasn't a comparison to me. I thought Caissie was head and shoulders better, and I'm not just talking about one area. I mean, just overall, but I saw a ton of potential with Alcantara, who's always reminded me of Dave Winfield with the long arms, but doesn't really seem to get short with his swing. He doesn't get sawed off. He's able to kind of inside out balls and do some things. So this is a player that was great during spring training that a lot of people in the organization think could be an everyday player. But again, with the Ian Happ no trade clause and a crowded outfield, he's a guy that you could definitely get rid of. But he's also the number 4 prospect for the Cubs. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Cubs ended up trading their top 4 prospects. I don't want them to trade Owen Caissie, but they might have to. Ballesteros and Wiggins, could definitely go. Jefferson Rojas, depending on what team is out there, he's not going to be ready for next year, probably the year after next. But he's someone who is definitely a talented guy. So the top 5, Caissie, Ballesteros, Rojas, Alcantara, and Wiggins, I think are all on the table. And as a matter of fact, I think really right now for this front office that doesn't have a contract extension, at least not publicly, that is trying to not just win, but win big, they may have to trade big to get that done. And that's kind of where we're at right now. All right, well, look, Cubs back in first place. Mentioned that already. They will wrap up their series with the White Sox. Great bounce back game. I told you guys, and I've said it on many occasions, that I feel really good about Cade Horton. And I still don't think he's figured it out yet. I think that he is getting close to figuring it out, but I don't think he's figured it out yet. And when he does, watch out, because I think he's going to be really good. Cubs take on the Sox. That's a 1:10 Central Time game. Cubs have not announced their pitcher yet. At least I don't have it written down here. I don't have it. It'll be Burke for the White Sox. Sean Burke, he's 4-8 with a 4.19 ERA. Another one of those times where you feel like for the Cubs, you just need somebody to step in and start. And who knows? I mean, who knows? Maybe it's Jaxon Wiggins. I mean, maybe they just totally blow everybody away, and Wiggins is sitting around waiting to start the game. I don't know. Probably by the time you guys see this, they'll have already named somebody, and it won't be that. But listen, the bottom line is the Cubs are working hard right now to try to get a deal done, and I'm refreshing constantly to see if that happens. and I think that it's going to be a starting pitcher. And I think that they're going to I would not be shocked if they don't get Suárez. I think they're going to do everything they can to get Eugenio Suárez and a pitcher and maybe some help in the bullpen. And if they do those things, this team, which is really dangerous, is going to be a whole lot better. If they got 2 starting pitchers, and I know maybe I'm getting greedy right now, watch out. Anyway, that's the QR code to our D community page. That's where we're going to be giving away tickets. That's where we're going to conversate, guys. So make sure that you just make yourself familiar with that and know that in the coming days, we got a lot of cool stuff coming. That's our Web3 home for the Cubs baseball channel. But thank you. Share with your friends, like and subscribe and comment. And it just be nice in the comments. I see some of these people, and I don't even think they've ever watched the show before, but some people are so mean. It's like, look, can we just have a civil, fun baseball conversation? Fingers crossed, though, that we get something big done here. And again, thank you guys for being part of the show. Go Cubs.